If you struggle to know the difference between beautiful, immersive detail and infodumping, then this episode is for you. We're going to get into that today on today's episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So join us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fiction.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
And we would like to welcome all of our viewers and listeners, wherever you might be, whether you're in the chat, whether you're watching us later on YouTube or Facebook, or whether you are listening to us on your favorite podcast aggregator.
Yep.
We love you all.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we already have someone piping up in our chat, our friend Catherine. Good morning, Catherine.
Right. And so wherever you listen to us, watch us, just like and subscribe and share. And it would really help us too if you would go to YouTube and give us a follow. Once we hit 1,000 followers, there's a lot of things that we can do with our YouTube channel that we can't do right now. So that would be really helpful.
And if you already follow us, liking and sharing, just liking, honestly, stuff makes a huge difference, especially on YouTube. So we appreciate your help.
Yeah. Okay. So today's topic is over description. When is enough? When is there enough description? And when do you need more? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
And people might notice that Jamie's not here, and we're super sad about it because Jamie had a lot to say. So Jamie is a person that writes beautiful, prose and just has a way of describing. But she's also a person that hates it when somebody writes a lot of description. Tina is the same way. She's very much like, sometimes you'll skip. Am I wrong that you'll skip like sometimes the whole paragraphs of you're like, oh, that's just
pages. And at the risk of alienating and triggering and offending,
which we do at a
Pride and Prejudice fans, I skipped pages. But pages. I don't care about the dresses. I don't care about the curtains. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think, okay, so all right, I hear what you're saying. Do you think that if you went back, now that you've read the whole story and you know all the characters and what all of their character arcs are, do you think if you went back and read it a second time that you would enjoy the descriptions more, or you're like, no?
No. And you will find that unless I absolutely have to for the purpose of my story, you will find no descriptions of curtains or clothing, or like sometimes it's important for you to know that my character is wearing pants made out of caribou hide. Like that's probably important for the story.
Right.
But I'm not going to go I'm just going to say her caribou hide pants. I'm not going to tell you what they look like. You can Google it.
Catherine is in your camp. She says, right, unless the character is in fashion, I didn't need to know what color her purse is. Okay, so I'm clearly on the other side, I think, of this argument because I write historical. Catherine also writes romance, but she writes contemporary. So there might be a difference there because now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I spend a whole lot of time talking about what clothes Marnie is wearing or the type of vehicle that she's in. I do in my historical. So maybe there's a little bit of difference there. But I think that when done well, that it's good. But this is why we're having this conversation, right? Is because how do you do that? So like if you're writing and you want to have that correct balance, and how you do that. So
I have to confess though, when it comes to describing nature, I might be a little bit more on the side of over description. Like I don't care about clothes and curtains, but I care about the beauty of nature.
Which is the same thing. Like this isn't just about like clothes and purses and fashion. We're talking about everything. We're talking about how cold it is and how you describe that, right? So I think that one of the biggest reasons why writers over describe is because they're afraid. First of all, I think there's two things. I think that like it's an experience. I think that when you first start writing, this is something that you fall into. But I think that secondly, I think that you're afraid that the reader isn't going to be able to see exactly what you see. And you're
Or they're
trying
not
to,
going to get it.
yeah. And I think that we've lived with our stories for so long. Like usually before we start writing, especially if it's our first novel, this story has been like brewing in us for a long time, and we're thinking about it and like imagining it, and like we want the people that are reading our books to be in that same place. But really the question is like how much work do you need to do to get your reader there, and how much do you need to just allow your reader to infer and create their own world?
Yeah.
Right.
I know that I have like an arc for that in my own personal journey.
Okay.
Because when I first started writing, I felt like I had to explain everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like what the sky looked like or the trees or whatever, but like you need to like I remember like telling people my elevator pitch. I was like, no, but they need to know the context because I'm like got context in my top 5.
Yeah.
So I want to spill all the context, like because to
Mm-hmm.
me, context is important. So I started out that way, but now I'm like, what can I just drop in here? Just
Mm-hmm.
like one line that's going to be like so what's the word, loaded, a
Mm-hmm.
loaded line that's going to give you the context
Right.
in one line instead of going on and on and on about the context. And so I've kind of grown in that way.
Mm-hmm. Being married to somebody who is pretty high context as well, and having them come home and talk to you about their day can sometimes be very excruciating because I don't know any of these people, right? And like now, years later, I used to teach, for those of you that don't know, and I would come home from work, and how was work? It was good. And I would tell a little bit of details, but that's it. I didn't need to unload everything that happened, everybody that I ran into. Like, I didn't feel the need to do that. I felt like that's work. Let's come home and let's be present, but I'm not high context. And at the time, like in our marriage, we were just kind of like, he felt like I was like trying to keep things from him. And I'm like, what am I keeping from you? Like, it's not that exciting. It's just a job. Like I'm like, I would talk about like the exciting things with my kids or whatnot. But then he'd find out later that I had a conflict like with my principal or whatever. Like he'd find out much later. And I'm like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I dealt with it. But to him, like it's all these like details, right? And so I think that yeah, so I get the context. I know now it's been 20 plus years, but I think as writers, we need to understand that like when we write, it isn't for us, right? It little bit it is. Some of it's cathartic and we need to do this, but we are writing for our readers, and it's like partnership. Like you need to allow your readers to infer some things because everybody comes to the table with their own life experiences, their own biases, and just they're like, just from this conversation already, listening to this, that Tina and I are very different people. We're going to read the same book, both of us enjoy it, but we're going to get different things out of it, and that's okay. You need to allow your reader to do that. But if you are describing every single thing, you're not like, I possibly want like, oh, okay, here's a great example. When Jamie read my first book, she sent me a picture of the actor that she imagined that Warren was. And I was like, oh, no, that's not who I imagined. And I sent her a picture of who I imagined like he was similar to. And she was like, oh, no, but that's okay. They had like enough similar, like dark hair and tall, kind of lanky, enough to where, but we both enjoyed it separately. And it's okay for Jamie to imagine this guy that she thinks is really cute as the guy, and I don't think he's attractive at all, and vice versa, right? So that's in the romance world. But
I have a similar story about Jamie reading my first book.
Yeah.
She read it as like a kind of a developmental edit type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And where I thought I had enough description in there, she was like, wait, there's not enough when it came to the emotion of my character. I wasn't describing, I wasn't giving the readers enough to understand her reactions to her emotions. Yeah. And so I think that part of the learning curve and knowing what's too much and what's not enough is having somebody else that you trust who like I guess I wouldn't just have anybody read my book and tell me like I trust Jamie's skill as a writer. That when she tells me that, it has a different weight. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Also, we're blessed in the fact that we're friends.
Right.
So there's not only are we writers and we respect each other's ability to write, but we're friends. So you give me something to read, you know I'm going to be honest with you because
Right.
in a way that because I want what's best for you, which some honestly, this is totally off topic, but some writers groups like
Yeah.
people are not like that because they like somehow make themselves feel better by dissing your work or like that. So it is a lovely thing to find people that love you enough or even that understand that there's enough space in the writing world for all of us. There is plenty of space for all of us.
Let's talk about what Catherine just said.
Okay.
I try to match descriptions with the point of view character. A place in my series was described by a character with renovation experience by the style structure, and one who loved history by the fabrics and details.
I think that's a great point. If you, let's say for instance, you are writing from a character, like we don't need every description from every character. It's really your point of view character, number one. That's a really good point, Catherine. But number two, like she's looking at what are the experiences of this character, and that's the things that character is going to notice. If you go into a restaurant and my character is, let's say, a Mennonite woman that's never been in a restaurant, she's not going to notice all the details that Jamie writes from a restaurant worker's perspective.
Yeah, she's really good at writing restaurants because she's...
But that would be disgenuine, right? If the character wasn't like, why would somebody who is from the country notice all these big things about the architecture of the big city? But if you set it up that they've read about architecture their whole life and they go into a big city, that makes sense. So that's a really good point, Catherine.
But if a Mennonite woman went into the big city into a restaurant, what she would notice is the things that were different that she'd never seen before. She might not have words for it, but you could describe it in a way where she was like, wow, this is crazy, you know?
Yeah. Yes, that'd be a fun scene to write. Honestly, I just went to the Mennonite grocery store up in the thumb of Michigan this weekend, or yesterday. I love that place. Anyway, Catherine says, no man knows the style of the dress his heroine is wearing. So true. And if he is, he probably should not be.
He's a fashion designer or something.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Like, what do men notice? Right? Men notice, like...
Men barely notice what they're wearing.
That's true.
Like, they just grab the first thing, most of them. So I think my husband goes and grabs the first thing he sees and throws it on, and that's just... Right. I mean, he is pretty deliberate with what shirt he wears because he works, he goes through grocery store every day, and he's also a pastor, so he wears shirts that have what he calls conversation starters.
Yeah. On
his shirt. So he, like, you've seen these Christian t-shirts that have these things on them, like I'm a pastor because, you know, it has this whole list. This wasn't a job title, or like he'll, you know, something like that. So because people see the shirt and start up conversations, it's like an evangelistic tool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But most men just grab and a lot of men have, like, my son James, every time I see him, he's wearing like a teal or blue t-shirt and a pair of jeans.
Always.
Every single time. That's just crazy. And we just went off topic, but anyway.
Yeah, well, off topic again. Did your husband ever tell you that I ran into him at the grocery store? Did I tell you that?
No, because he doesn't have any context.
Yeah, no. As I'm talking to him, I'm like, he's never going to tell her, number one. He possibly doesn't remember who I am, even though we've been friends for years. Like, it's
like he doesn't get on here and see you all the time.
So. No, and like if we were at the campground, he would 100% know who I was. Or if we were at a church event, he would 100% know who I was. But at a grocery store,
and if he's working, his brain is like on autopilot, like tunnel vision.
Like, as soon as I said, hey, Pastor Bob, I'm like, I shouldn't even have bothered him because he's not going to remember. Right? He talked to me, like, you know, we just kind of real quickly said hi. But I was like...
And you probably have no idea the number of people that say hi, Pastor Bob, to him. Like, he's... Every now and then he'll go, oh, you remember that old lady from our last church? I saw her. No, there was this lady, like, in her 90s.
Oh, yeah.
That was a congregant at the last church he pastored, and he's like, I can't believe she's still alive. So, like, he had a reason for mentioning Yeah.
Gosh, I hope she's not listening. Okay.
I doubt it.
All right. So,
Sorry. All right, we better go on. Let's talk
Oh,
about.
hey, if anybody wonders if we script our stuff with AI, we don't. uh, that's a whole other conversation.
We should probably have a legal department.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, moving on. All right, so
info dumping versus immersion. Let's talk about the difference between info dumping and immersion.
if you don't know what we mean by immersion, we'll talk about it shortly. But we also last week we talked about writing with the senses, using your senses and the senses of your characters, and so we talked about how it will immerse them into the story. So the opposite of doing that, like bringing your reader into the story, is just like telling them everything. Just like that. What's what we mean by info dump? If you're new to this, to writing, info dumping is when a person just like tells me, all right, here's a perfect example. Hi, Fred. I haven't seen you since freshman year at college at University of Michigan when we were in the South door. Like, you wouldn't talk to that. I would see Fred and be like, oh, Fred, how are you? And then you would go into it and you would find other ways of, of giving that information. You wouldn't just like start doing it unnaturally. So
my favorite, well, I don't want to say favorite. My husband has been watching NCIS, the one in California.
Mm-hmm. I don't know
which one is. I don't know, San Diego or something. And so they start out in the beginning of the show. Somebody's standing up on before a whiteboard or a computer screen, and explaining the case to these FBI agents who already know all this stuff.
Yeah. That's great.
It's like, yeah, okay. There's the info dump.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so you want to immerse your reader because it's going to anchor them into the story. We talked about this a little bit last week and help them feel like they're part of it. But what info dumping does is it literally pauses the story. It makes the person who feels like they're part of it, makes them feel like they're like, okay, now I'm in a college class, I'm listening to my professor. Like, it really feels like, how do I get past this? And I feel like for me, that's what I skip in a story. I don't skip the descriptions of the dress or the nature like you write or whatever. But if somebody like starts to do info dump, I generally skip it. And I find that I don't miss a whole lot. Like, and you felt it was so important to stop at info dump, but I skipped it and it didn't change the story for me. That's a problem too in writing, obviously.
Yeah. But Catherine Carroll made the comment, as you know, Bob, and I'm trying to figure out how she knows my husband. So she just picked a name, but that's my husband.
No, but that people will start a sentence out of that. Well, as you already know, and then keep saying,
yeah,
nobody does that in real life. Nobody does that in real life. So, all right. So when do you think, Tina, that setting the description transition from painting a picture to like, when does setting description, like when you talking about nature and how you write it, how does it go from being a setting description, from like being painting a picture, to just stopping things? Like, where do you think that happens in your writing?
Well, if I go on too long, for one thing, if it stops the action. So I do have one thing in my first book where my character's going through something pretty traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And as a defense mechanism, a coping tool, she like ignores what's happening to her and focuses on like an eagle in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a specific device that I used on purpose.
Yes.
To show how my character was dealing with her trauma.
And it was,
but you wouldn't want to say like, okay, they were whipping her and like something horrible's happening and like, oh yeah, there's an eagle in a tree.
But that was tied also, it was tied to emotion or stakes, right? So that's why I think that you can use info dumping as a device for sure. But again, you tied it to the emotions that were happening and some stakes. There were some high stakes of what was happening with her. And so that's acceptable, I think.
Right. But if you're like have a battle scene and suddenly the flowers look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start describing the type of flower and where it originated and its genus and all that, like that.
Unless it has something to do with her past.
Yeah,
Like if,
but in the middle of a battle,
oh
like,
no, not in the middle of a
you know what
battle.
I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah, yeah.
you don't want to stop the action to start describing things,
So
unless
yeah,
it's necessary for the battle.
because I did that in my second book, and I've gotten some people, trigger warning, I guess, if like I don't think it was that um graphic of an opening for a romance, but I had a couple people that in my ratings that did. However, I start off this my second book on the battlefield of World War One, but I absolutely slow everything down, and he hyper focuses on the person in front of him as opposed to how war is and how it's crazy battle. And I did it on purpose. And I did like maybe consider it because he focused on just every little detail of what was happening right then. But I did it on purpose because I was trying
Right.
to show the humanity, and all of a sudden this person is like faced with the humanity of what was happening around him. And yeah.
And as someone who's read that scene, like to me, that just felt like fog of war. You know how like
Yeah.
they show it in the movies
Yeah.
sometimes where everything kind of slows down, even though there's chaos all around them.
Mhm.
It's just their way their brain is coping with all the chaos by like blocking everything out, and they always show it in kind of a slow motion kind of situation.
Mhm.
But the key is it has to move the story forward and not stop the momentum of the story. So if you're writing something and all of a sudden it stops the momentum, then you need to take it out.
I agree, because plus it probably isn't going to change the story at all. If you can take it out and the story isn't changed,
Right.
then there's no reason to have it there anyways. Our friend Jason is back. Jason says, that makes sense. I sometimes think I go into too much detail for scenes, but main character is an assassin, so his surroundings are important to him. Yeah, so you got to take it bit by bit. Like, go
Right.
ahead, Tina.
But the assassin wouldn't notice the curtains unless the curtains were important for him to hide in, or
Yeah.
like he wouldn't care that they were Baroque period.
Or maybe they remind him of his grandma's, like in when he was a child, and how did he get this far in life? Like I
Yeah.
mean, you can, but like it has to fit the reasoning of or what the purpose of the scene is. That's the other thing we haven't really
Right.
talked about.
I feel like if a assassin is sneaking into the bedchamber of the king to assassinate him, what
Mhm.
he's focused on is how to stay hidden and how to get the job done and get out.
Yeah.
But if he was sitting in his rooms afterwards, where he's safe,
Mhm.
and he's just like he's got a bottle of wine and a and a
Mhm.
candlelight, then he might start reminiscing
Yeah. True.
about how he got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. So sometimes over description isn't about artistry, it's about insecurity.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Especially as a
about
new
that.
writer. Yeah, as a new
Yeah.
writer, we're like insecure. We don't trust our writing. We don't trust the dialogue that we've written or our character arcs. Tell me, or the plot tension. Here I come on my soapbox. This is why you plot. This is why I am a firm believer in plotting your stories. It's because if you're writing and kind of just pantsing it, now don't get me wrong, some people are really great at it, but if you're struggling and you're finding out that you're info dumping a bunch because you're not trusting that you can get that information across through your dialogue or through your character, just the action of your characters, then maybe it's because you need to stop what you're doing and structure your story a little bit and make sure that you have a plot that you're following and that you are able to express all these things that you're trying to info dump, but that you are doing it in a more natural way. So there's my soapbox for plotting. You're
Okay,
welcome.
well, in an answer to your soapbox, I say everybody plots.
Mhm.
Everybody does plot. Some people do it before they write, and some people do it after they write. And
I
sometimes
agree.
people need to write the story and then go back in and make sure these plot points are in there, and adjust it and rewrite it and finesse it to make the story workable. And
Mhm.
it's just the different way different people's brains work.
I do agree with you. But you said the word finesse and it made me think of something else. Is that I also think that some people that are just kind of like writing, or maybe they've plotted too. I think that some people if their story is weak, I think that they are relying on beautiful prose. Now, don't get me wrong, we love beautiful prose here, and I
Mhm.
think all 3 of us, do a decent job of that in different ways in our writing. But if you're just writing page after page, chapter after chapter of, like, beautiful, like, everything is beautiful and described, you describe every single thing. Like, having that scene where somebody, where my character hyper focused on that person, like, in the middle of the war and on the one person he was face to face with. If I did something like that in every single scene, that first scene would not have the same impact, and you would tire out your reader. Same thing with, like, Tina, if she were to every single scene, every single chapter, stop and describe an eagle that she sees, or every single thing was as significant as that eagle,
Yeah.
that's too much. Like, you have to realize that when you're gonna stop and you're gonna spend time on some very beautiful prose and some descriptive prose, that those are special moments. They're not all the moments.
Right. And I think I said this last week. Like, I only need to really tell my readers once that walking through the Alaskan woods smells like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pine trees and or in wet earth,
Mhm,
or that the bark of a birch tree is white and papery.
mhm,
I only need to say that once, really, maybe twice if it's like 50,000 words later.
mhm.
But you have to trust your reader to absorb those sensory details or whatever description that you're giving them, because I believe description often is sensory.
Mhm.
It's either sight or smell or hearing or
Yep, agreed.
um and to remember it so that you don't have to keep to restating it over and over again.
Right. And I will say, and I might get some flack for this, but beautiful writing will only take you so far. People
Yeah.
will read for a little bit with your beautiful, no matter how poetic you are with your writing and how gifted you are in that. If you don't have conflict in your story, if there aren't any emotional stakes or physical stakes, if there's not like an underlying emotional truth that you're trying to share, character arcs, if there isn't um really strong stakes, I guess is what I'm ultimately
Mhm.
trying to say, you're going to lose your readers. They're not
Yeah.
going to continue reading. Like, no matter, I mean, it's like, I'm not going to read 70,000 words of poetry, is what I'm saying.
Unless
I,
you get a book of poetry that happened to be 70,000 words.
yeah, even if it is, I'm not reading it. Like, I'll, I'll read some poetry. I'm not going to sit down and read 70,000. It's not going to keep me interested.
Not at once, no.
Yeah, it's not going to keep me turning the page of the
I
book.
think I have a book around here that is pretty big. That's a book of poetry that I bought for homeschooling.
Hmm.
But we did like a poem a week. We did not sit down and read the whole book.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you are so into poetry that you would do that and that you're offended by us, but I'm telling
Mhm.
you, the majority of the world will not,
Yeah.
you won't keep them, no matter what your genre is.
When I read a poem, I have to sit and ruminate on it and like sit with it. I can't just go read the next one because I need
Mhm,
to absorb like all the nuance of it. So
mhm, right. I mean, if it's set to music, I mean, I listen to music all the time, so I guess,
I do
there's
too,
that.
but I tend to listen to the same song. Like I'll just keep hitting repeat
Yep.
and keep because I'm a lyrics girl and
Mhm,
I want to like pick apart the lyrics and explore what they make me feel,
mhm,
you know?
yeah.
So,
Ultimately, I feel like to be overly verbose in your writing is going to be a problem for your writing,
right.
right? And
I
there's a biblical. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say I think that the best books have like these action parts that are fast and then it slows down and then it gets fast again and there's kind of like this rhythm of the different pacing throughout the book.
Hmm.
Yeah, you could read a book that has no description. My son likes to write. Okay, when I was homeschooling him, he loved to write, but he loved to write dialogue.
Hmm.
Like he wrote a 10-page story that was just dialogue.
Hmm.
Like and there was no description. And that was hard to read because it
Hmm.
just went like there was no slowing down, there was no time to think, time to picture what's going on. It was just And so I think that the opposite is like you want a mixture.
Yeah. 100% for sure.
And now he's like a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, like that. And he uses his writing abilities to create these characters. And that serves him pretty well, that he just focuses on dialogue a lot.
I know that our listeners have heard us talk about how the Bible is the greatest example for so many things, right? But like you talked about the ebb and the flow and the pacing. I feel like the Bible does that really well. But we also had a scripture we were going to share today from Proverbs. It's Proverbs 10:19. In the multitude of words, sin is not lacking, but he who restrains his lips is wise. Try to take that into your writing as well. Like to just kind of like overwrite something is not going to be enjoyable. I'm not going to say that it's actually going to be sin, but as Christian writers, we are called to stewardship of our words as well, right? And so we've talked before about that God gave you the story, so put the work and effort into it because he gave it to you. But also make sure that you're being a good steward of those words. Catherine says, he who restrains his pen is wise. Yes, that's another good one too.
That really reminds me of this plaque my grandpa had on the cabin wall at the lake. And it was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but I think it actually came from the Bible. And it said, it is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
It's a combination of lots of different proverbs, but
like I remember just sitting at the table in the cabin and just staring at that plaque and trying to decipher what the heck it was talking about. I was 8. So.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't think I followed that rule enough in my life. Let's be honest. Even on this podcast, maybe not necessarily this episode, but there've been times.
Well, this is like we're here to talk, so we might as well talk.
I know, but I'm a little more Julia Sugarbaker than the rest of you. Let's be honest. I
am in my head. The Holy Spirit usually checks me before it comes out of my mouth, but not always. Okay, let's talk about some practical fixes.
Yes. Well, we talked last week about using your senses. So I feel like go back to that and say, am I using sight way too much in my book? Can I use a different sense here? And if I can't, then is the scene really necessary? Like if I can't switch, like if the point of the scene is so important, but I can't switch it to smell, like let's go back to my war scene. I could have focused on the smell of what was happening around them and still expressed kind of what I was trying to get across. If you can't switch the sense, then maybe it was just you wanting to describe more than what you need to describe for your reader.
Right.
Yeah.
I lost my spot here.
That's okay.
So how about integrating description with action?
Yeah. 100%. Like if you feel like you're info dumping, put some action in it. Put some dialogue in it, but make sure the dialogue isn't info dumping. But and I know that I feel like I say this every single episode, but if it doesn't move your story forward, it is not necessary.
I feel like that's like the cardinal rule of writing.
It needs
everything has to move the story forward.
I mean,
you were talking about integrating action in with your description, and it doesn't have to be running, jumping, fighting, screaming. Like it doesn't have to be this huge action. I'm reminded of so many sprints that Jamie has read where her character is washing the dishes.
Yeah.
Or wiping the cabinet. Or doing something like that while she's thinking about her life, right? And describing like her feelings and like her reminiscences. And so it doesn't have to be a huge action. It could be any action. Somebody could be walking through the park or walking through the woods in my case.
And it reveals personality, right? So a grandma washing dishes with her granddaughter is going to reveal something about that personality, as opposed to the character that you were talking about with Jamie, who's by herself, and like she can expose certain things about this woman's character.
Right.
Piper says, action. She lifted the mug to her lips and took a sip, letting the silence linger. Right. So then, like, why is the silence lingering? Like, it that is better than just telling us every detail about the mug or, things like that. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think, like I mentioned this earlier about having somebody else read your stuff, I think that's really valuable.
Yes, agree.
Because get a really good writing group and share your stuff, because they will tell you if you're over describing or if you're under described and they don't understand. And I'm in a really good writing group right now. We all write fantasy, but we all write a different type of fantasy. So it's really stimulating, but also they have some really good feedback and they notice things like that. So like, that's my plug. Get yourself a writing group.
And specifically, like, if you're concerned that this is a problem for you, ask somebody that you trust or your writing group, did you skim any part of this?
Right.
Like that. And I would probably wait till after they read it and say, by chance, did you skim it? And then like make them go, oh, like, because I think we do it without realizing it. And that would help for you to, like, if they skimmed it, then that's probably a segment you need to work on or just get rid of. So,
and if you're going back and reading it yourself and you want to skip parts because they're boring and you wrote it, probably maybe it's going to be boring to your reader. Maybe not. Maybe you're like me and you just hate reruns, but.
And here's a challenge. Go through your writing and find your biggest, longest chunk of description and just cut it in half. Like, don't try to tweak it or try to like make it better. Just cut it in half or cut it out entirely and see if it makes a difference in your story. It might. If it does, then hey, it's your book. You do what you want. But if you find that it doesn't, you've probably just made your story better.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And one thing that came to my mind earlier that I just wanted to mention, sometimes when you're starting out, writing a novel length piece is intimidating. And it can be really tempting just to throw a bunch of description in there to increase your word count. Don't do it.
Right.
Find a plot point, find something that moves the story forward that you can put in there instead. Because it's going to make your story better, it's going to make it richer, and it's going to help you in the long run.
And I also, before we close out too, I want to say that if you've listened to us and heard our writing at all, you're going to know that we don't think that description is a bad thing. We love it. We love to describe and to just stop and marinate in words. Like, we do love that. So description is not the enemy. Over description is what we're talking about today. And so we're not saying to eliminate the beauty of your writing. We're just saying to discipline it, make it work, make every word count and everything move your story forward. So
exactly. All right, let's move on, if you're ready, to our time of feeding of the backs, where we have set a timer for 15 minutes and wrote to the same prompt. Unplanned, unedited, just it is what it is. And so we are going to read it out loud to you guys. And so, Jen, do you want to tell us what the prompt was?
I would love to.
And what you wrote.
Today was a theme, and the theme we chose because of our episode was, Tina chose actually, enough is enough. And so we are back in Marnie's world. You're not posting that. Marnie laughed. Sure I am. No, you're not. Marnie stopped. It wasn't the first time that Mr. Boss had told her no, but it was the first time he had said it with that tone. She turned to look at him. And why not? Because I said so. Ha! The word flew out of her mouth so quickly she was pretty certain she felt the breeze it caused actually ruffle the feathers on the papers on his desk. The words that followed matched the same speed, a speed that was very obviously much faster than her common sense could muster. Because you said so. What am I, a child? I most certainly am not, and you are not my father. So if you thought you hired someone with daddy issues, you are absolutely mistaken, because I don't need you bossing me around. Mr. Boss slammed his palm on the desk as he jumped from his chair. I will boss you around because I am your boss. A minor factor that you seem to have forgotten, but trust me, you won't forget it again, or you will be finding employment elsewhere. Do I make myself clear? Marnie blinked several times. Yes, she nearly whispered. Very clear. Good. Discard the post. Get back to your desk. Marnie turned to leave. Oh, and Miss Myers, if you don't want to be treated like a child, you'll stop acting like one. You're a grown up with a grown up job. Start behaving like it. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I want to slap him or if I want to tell her to grow up.
Like, it's out of context, right? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this one cop show I was watching that was written so well that I was rooting for the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's from the point of view of the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they did something pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of don't want him to get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know that like drug up a lot of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have had that conversation with my husband a few times about you're not my boss.
Well, that's different though, because he's not your boss.
He likes to be very sarcastic, and he says, "Well, when your daddy died, I became your daddy." Like, he's completely joking.
Okay.
He doesn't mean it, but because he gets this weird smirk on his face when he's joking. He can't hide. That's the reason he can't lie either, because he gets this look on his face. Like, if he tries to hide something from me, like for my birthday or something, I know immediately because his tell is so loud.
Piper says both of them got fiery there, but was it warranted? What was she going to post? Yeah, I don't know. This came from, Miss Myers is not her last name. I've been going through there's a lot, you guys. There is a lot of Marnie sprints out there, and I've been trying to find them all because I know that I named her and I really liked her name, and I haven't been able to find it. But as I'm going back and reading the original Marnies, she was way fierier than what I had been writing her. And so I've been playing around with that. Like, I think I think there's gonna be a lot of changes in this book, but which isn't even a book right now. It's just a bunch of random. So anyway, also, like, he is the boss. And so there needs to be like more friction anyway. So this is where this came from, is that I needed to write something that didn't end in a kiss, right? But that escalates stuff. And so that's just me playing around with it. So I don't know what she's about to post.
I feel like her being fiery is what he likes about her.
Oh yeah, but he still has to like push back. Like, he likes it and hates it at the same time.
But he still has his pride, right?
Oh yeah, but he also hates it too, because like he is the boss, and she like, again, you're right. Your characters need to have faults, right? So we enjoy her fieriness, but it also is a fault, right? So again, his stoicness and his like seriousness, we kind of like it, but it's also a fault. So yeah, well, I'm still figuring it out. So, but thanks. That was fun for me to write today, honestly. What'd you write, Tina?
Okay, my first line's going to tell you the inspiration for this whole thing.
Okay, you told me a little. You said something to me before we went live.
I want to surprise everybody. I'm not going to tell.
Okay.
I don't know what to write. I knew the words came out whiny, but that's how I felt. Whiny and irritated and frustrated and uninspired and yada, yada, yada. Jen raised her eyebrows from across the table, but said nothing. She didn't need to say anything. Her face said it all. I put my headphones on and listened to the violin singing a song from some fantasy movie or video game that eluded me. I closed my eyes, hoping that haunting melody of the strings could inspire me, birth a story the likes of which fantasydom had never heard. I left some words out when I was typing, so sorry about that.
Okay.
Who was I kidding? Fantasy readers loved their tropes. If you didn't have them, it was a big fat DNF for that book. But if you could be clever enough, come up with some new and exciting way to use the tropes, I sighed. More with the kidding. I didn't have any of those ideas in me. I tapped my pen on the table, trying to beat out a rhythm to match the music, while my head sung the lyrics to one of my favorite fantasy soundtracks. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. I looked up to find Jen glaring at me. I pulled the headphones away from my right ear. What? I whined. The pen, she said. Stop with the tapping. Sorry, I mumbled, putting the pen down and my fingers on the keyboard. Nothing. What was that decision tree thing again? Can you see what's next? Well, no, I can't see what happens next when I don't have any idea what happens first. I sighed again. Can you write the next sentence? Well, no, there is no next sentence when you've not written the first sentence. Can you write about writing? Well, maybe. I suppose I could write about not writing, about having an empty brain, no running narrative in my mind to keep me company, no ideas, no inspiration. I put my head in my hands and let out a long sigh, letting my shoulders slump and feeling the fatigue in my body. The words of a song from a British comedy about menopausal women starting a rock band echoed through my head. Give me HRT, belted out in the style of an 80s punk band. Maybe some hormones would give me my angst back and inspire me to vent all my roller coaster emotions on the page. Enough is enough. I jumped from the shock of Jen's raised voice, knocking over my coffee carafe. I grabbed it just in time before it flew off the table. If you don't stop sighing, I'm going to lose it, Jen yelled. The people at the neighboring table tried to pretend they weren't staring. I hated to point out that she had just lost it. Perhaps she needed HRT as well.
Okay. First of all, guess what we were talking about before we went live? Or before we started writing.
Yeah.
I would like to defend myself. First of all, like maybe this was a different Jen, but I would have headphones on and I would completely ignore you.
I know,
but I love the HRT.
You do raise your eyebrows sometimes, though.
Sometimes. We should go through and get a bunch of screenshots from just today's episode. Like I have,
and I only used your name because I couldn't think of anyone else's.
No, it's fine.
Like it was just completely okay. It's Jen because I don't even know.
It's totally fine. Like, would I speak up and tell you stop if I would, because we're friends, and I'd be like enough. I would definitely be the person to tell you enough is enough. But that was good.
Maybe you forgot your headphones that time we went.
Maybe I forgot. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. But I love that, like, the hormone replacement therapy, like that was hilarious because I can see how me, Jen, could become the Jen in your book, like eventually, like, right. So Catherine says, I want to hear that 80s punk band singing about HRT and Hot Flash. Isn't it an actual show?
It is, and I'll send you a link.
Yeah, there's an actual show. I don't know, like, is it appropriate? I don't know, but
no, Piper, it's not appropriate.
Okay. Piper says yes, writing the violin music over here too. We should do a whole episode on listening to music while you write. And
I actually have a writing playlist that is fantasy themes, music set to violin and piano.
It's been a long time since we talked about it, but it's also the binary beats. Like I listen to music with, like, that's a whole episode. We should just talk about that some other time. But yeah, it was really good, Tina. It made me laugh. Like I literally was like wiping like the corners of my eyes. Like
because I literally did not know what to write.
Yeah.
Like, I had nothing.
Yeah.
And I did go through like my writing thing. What do you see what you can write? Like, can you write about writing? I'm like, I could write about not being able to write. Here we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was great. I feel like as a writer, like it was very relatable. And yeah, that was a lot of fun to listen to. So well done.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, the next little, oh my gosh, my brain. I do need HRT. I can't even think of the word. Transition. We're going to transition to the what's up, what's next section of the podcast, where you're going to tell us what's up and what's next for you.
So that list of things I said last week I was going to work on, spoiler alert, I haven't. Guess what I've been doing instead? Believe it or not, I've been focusing on gardening. It's I'm getting my seeds going. Some of my seeds, it's, I need it. Like I've never really struggled with like depression in the wintertime in Michigan. I know a lot of people, because we have such gray winters. We've had quite a bit of sun actually this winter, I feel like, but I, unlike any other year, have been yearning for spring like no other, which there's a lot going on in my life right now that like I'm not willing to share right now, but like that has made me just kind of like, I just feel like I need the next stage of life, if that makes sense. But again, I feel like I think about my writing and I'm more focused on it than I have been in a long time. I'm just not actually doing it. I've also had like a lot going on with my family and things like obligations there. However, I still want that list of things I still want to get done that I talked about, like it's more marketing stuff than anything. So here's what's on my list of things to do. I've got some marketing things to look at, getting my books, their free days, because if I don't, I've got to figure out whether I'm going to stay in KU or not. Um, so I need to really use the advantages of KU, such as the free days and like that, and see if that will work for me. Because I feel like so much I read now is making me want to go wide again. Like, oh, but it's just so much more work to be wide. Anywho, that I'm there. And also, as you can tell by my writing today, I really got to figure out, I'm trying to figure out where Marnie's story is going. I've got to figure out what the purpose of her story is. Like, it's fun to sprint in her like world, and I could do that for the rest of my life and never have a full story. But I feel like she deserves a story. Like, I want to write this as a book. And so because it's been all over the place, I got to focus in and figure that out before April, because in April, we know what's happening. It's our second 30 days of writing sprints. And so I want to be prepared for that to make it really productive for me. So that's on my to-do list. What about you, Tina? What's going on with you?
Well, I just need to get my butt writing. I just have not been feeling the best. And I was serious about my entire life. I've had a narrative running in my head. Like, and these narratives, like I used to joke that I think in narrative, and if I could just write it down, I could write a book. And I just feel like it's gone. And I don't know what it is that's causing it. So I just need to, I don't know what I need to do. I need to explore why my narratives are gone and what I can do about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think it's the transition to nonfiction? Do you think that
could be? I could need HRT. Like, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know.
Right.
So maybe I just need to spend more time with the Lord.
Same, sister. But I think I could say that any day of the week, right? More Jesus.
But also, I think that if Becca Syme was here, sometimes you know how some people say, "What would Jesus do?" I frequently say, "What would Becca say?"
Okay.
She would say, "What inspires you is learning, because I'm a number one learner." And when I learn something new, I think about it, and that the thinking leads me to the ideas. Like, it's kind of a direct path. And I think, so maybe I need to learn something. Maybe I need to take a little course or something just to get my brain inspired. Yeah. That's another thing I've been thinking about.
All right. Piper says, I'm planning to start the seeds next month. Piper, reach out to me. I have an app that I've started using, and I would love to chat with somebody about it. I know it seems like I'm starting seeds early. I'm starting some seeds early. So anyways, if you feel like chatting about gardening, message me and we'll chat.
I have a hydroponic garden.
Oh, it's dead. So you don't have a hydroponic garden?
I mean, I have the thing. Yeah. Like, it's sitting over there with boxes on top of it.
There has never been a more Tina statement stated than that statement right there. I have a hydroponic garden. It's dead.
I used to grow like little lettuces in there.
I remember that. Yeah.
Something happened and it started to have fruit flies, and so I had to throw it all out, and then I just never restarted it.
So there's a YouTube channel. This is so off topic, everybody, but that's the point of the episode. If you're with us this long, this is where we go way off topic and say whatever we feel like saying. HRT all the way. There's a YouTube channel called Epic Gardening, and I've been watching them for a while. He also has a channel called Epic Homesteading, but he's out in California. It has nothing to do with my zone. So, but I get a lot of good information about varieties and stuff like that. But anyway, he was talking about, they were joking about his early videos, and it was about hydroponics, and like you could tell that he was just like, no, like he doesn't do it at all anymore, and it's like they all laugh about it. And so I'm like, yeah, I remember back in the day everybody was into hydroponics, and would grow tomatoes year round. But and like anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But it's so funny that yours just let them.
Yeah, we had like a fruit fly problem in the middle of the winter, and my husband's like, "Where are these fruit flies coming from?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I lifted up my thing to change out the water, and that's where the fruit flies were coming.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I had to throw it all away. And
you can get them with starting your seeds indoors too. So Piper says, have you gotten into the winter sowing? Message me, Piper. Like, message me. I would love to chat with you. So
all right.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Do we have anything else to say?
Oh, probably lots, but nobody needs to hear it.
We should probably, we should probably call it a day. So next time, this is I don't even remember what we say. That's the end of the podcast for today. And until next time, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.